Well, hi everybody. Yes, it's Andy and
I'm Carol.
with another exciting discussion about things that you never knew were discussable. And I hope you've been enjoying these because I got to tell you something, we really love putting these together for you, and we hope you find these as educational and entertaining as we do in putting them together.
Andy,
Yeah.
why are you wearing those glasses?
What do you mean? Don't I always wear glasses?
No, you only wear them when you're talking on the phone.
Oh, have you ever seen me in glasses? And what was that you said? That I only wear them when?
When you're talking on the phone.
How can a pair of sunglasses allow you to talk? Glasses allow you to talk on the phone?
Why don't you tell them?
Well, this is an invention from 2020, and there's been a whole bunch of new inventions, and this one actually has a connection to my phone. It's Bluetooth. It's got these microphones here. The music is like stereo, like you've never heard, and I can talk on the phone. I can move around. I don't have things coming out of my ear. And you know what else? When I go outside in the sun, you know what happens to these lenses?
They turn dark.
And I got to
like photographs.
Yep, and I got to tell you something. Basically, I can't live without them because sometimes when I drive, and she hates this, I'm on the phone. As a matter of fact, I can do the volume. I can tell the phone what number I want it to call. I could even have the phone, though the glasses, read my emails. And sometime next year, there's going to be a sunglass that's going to be coming out, or a regular glass too, where in here I can actually see pictures. And I'm going to let you in on a secret. I actually own a pair of Spy sunglasses.
He does.
I do. And I can't show them to you because they're Spy sunglasses. They're available for anybody. And right here, not in this one, right here, you know what there is? A camera. Not only is there a camera, it is a video camera and a still camera that is instantaneously downloaded to the computer. So you might be asking yourself, why is Andy telling you all of this stuff? What does this have to do with today's topics? Very, very simple. I bet that you cannot live without your smartphone. I bet that there is so many things today that were invented in the past few years that you can't live without with. And as a matter of fact, probably 10 years from now, or 10 or 30 or 40, there are going to be historians doing discussions like this, talking about inventions that were done in 2020 and maybe even 2021. So what I thought would be a lot of fun, has anybody here been around in the 1950s?
Yeah, we were all around.
We were all around in the 1950s. You know, and not many of us were, but I know the group that I'm talking to is around since 1950. So what we're going to do today, we're going to take a journey through everything that you and I and her take for granted that were invented going back to the 1950s, and it will surprise you. And Carol, you're going to love the first one.
Oh, what is it?
Now, you remember the old days and you wanted to have coffee. Before 1950, how did you make coffee before 1950?
I think you boiled the water.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know.
Sounds like a big hassle.
Yeah.
Well, guess what was invented in 1950 that you can't use today? You can use today. The automatic coffee pot. Yes, the automatic coffee pot was in 1950, and it was invented by British Home Appliances, a fellow by the name of Brand Russell Hobbs. And he created the first coffee percolator.
And he said that, the reason he said that is because we're big coffee drinkers.
As I think
We
a lot of
love
people
coffee.
are. So you can't live without that, and they still have it. I bet you didn't realize it, and I bet you take advantage of it. And you don't even think about it. Well, here's something else that was invented in 1950. In 1949, 1948, 1947, if you wanted to listen to the radio, where would you have to be to listen to the radio?
In your house.
In your
Listening
house.
to the radio.
Guess what was invented in 1950?
The portable radio.
The portable transistor radio. Now, do we all walk around with portable transistor radios today? No. Why? Because it's in our cell phones. And by the way, when I put these glasses on, I can listen to any music I want, which is also very interesting. Why? Got to tell you a story. This is the weirdest story I think I've ever told you. One day, Carol and I were at the Palm Beach or Palm Springs outlet shops.
Oh, that was the funny
Right?
story.
And then
yeah.
she didn't know this, but I don't know. I was thinking about my dad, rest in peace. And he loved inventions. He wanted to be the very first one to have an invention. And I forget what year this goes back, okay? And I was thinking about my dad being one of the first people in America to buy a pair of sunglasses almost like this that had the transistor radio in its frames. I'm telling you the truth. And I was just thinking about that. All right. Then I saw a store, Bose, B-O-S-E. It's in the mall. And I said to Caroline, let's go and take a look at stereos. And she says, you got a stereo. I said, I know, it's great. I've had it for years, but I just like to look. And lo and behold, what was the very first thing that they showed on display? These glasses with the telephone in them. And I looked at them, and they had only been invented about a month before they were put on the market.
This is over 2 years, more than 2 years ago.
Yeah, more than 2 years ago, but I'm just explaining the story. So we were looking at I had an idea about my father, and boom, there it is, these glasses. So my father was the very first one. He would walk around, he had the earphone, he had to put an earpiece in here, and he would walk around singing, and people thought he was nuts.
Well, we went shopping one day, and I was waiting on the checkout thing, and he was over by the corner talking to someone on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
The cashier said to me, I think that man is crazy. He's talking to himself. I said, no, that's my husband. He's on the phone. He said, really? I said, yeah,
Well,
the phone is in his glasses.
Yeah, and I was just babbling, blah, 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 blah. Nothing
And
came
the guy
out of the
thought you
ears.
were crazy.
Yep. Now, here's something else that was invented in 1955. It changed the way people cook. 1955. What do you think was invented in 1955, Carol?
An oven?
What kind of an oven?
Double oven.
No.
An oven.
No, what kind of an oven?
Electric oven.
No.
I don't
Oh,
know.
come on, man.
Toaster oven.
No.
I don't know.
You know what was invented in 1959 that changed the way you cooked?
An oven.
Microwave
Oh,
oven.
a microwave oven.
You see how you take things for advantage?
Yeah.
A microwave oven. You remember how long it used to take to cook things? Oh no. With your microwave oven, simply open up the door, put it in there, press a few buttons, and boom, there it is. No?
Yeah.
No, you don't like the
Yeah,
microwave
but
oven?
the microwave I often think of as an oven to reheat, not necessarily to cook, but many people do that.
Yeah, you know what I remember, and I don't want to jinx anything, about 2 years ago, our microwave oven busted, and you know what kind of a frenzy? How am I going to live without my microwave oven? The one that just said, how am I going to live without my microwave oven?
I just said to reheat things.
Yeah. All right, 1956. The way we watch television changed forever. What was invented in 1956? She doesn't know any of this stuff, as you know. I don't tell her anything in advance. What was invented in 1956 that changed the way we
Color?
watch television? No, not color.
I don't know.
Oh, come on.
don't
Think
know.
about it. Think.
I don't know.
The remote control, the things
click,
that you
click,
take
click,
advantage of today. Have you ever looked at that remote control and said, this goes all the way back to 1956? Look how old it is.
Were they big?
Oh, yeah, they were big. As a matter of fact, I remember my very first one. It was a totally different technology. It was based on magnets, and there was this big magnet or something in the middle of it. It was crazy. So, I bet you didn't know all this stuff. You know,
I
we
didn't
take
know
it
all
for
this
granted, and we're going to go through lots of the years to see what else we have invented. Aha! Now, you use this today.
What is
You
it?
absolutely use this today when you put two pieces of things together and you want it to be instantaneously bonding.
Glue.
What kind of glue?
Super glue.
Super glue! Yes,
Super
1958 super glue was invented. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a story. It was invented by accident. You think somebody said, ooh, let's invent super glue? No, it was invented by accident. And it was first done actually in 1942 by Harry Coover, and then in 1951, and then once again permanently in 1958 when Eastman Kodak, the company in which Coover and Joyner worked, launched it as Eastman 910. They later rebranded it as the much catchier Super Glue. Now, did you ever think Eastman Kodak was responsible for the development of super glue?
Nope.
No. Now you know. All right, let's go back to 1961. Was anybody here handy in 1961?
Yeah, we were here.
I mean handy, though. I mean handy.
Handy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, your father was. I remember
My
that,
father
and
was
I'm sure a
very
lot of
handy.
you
Yeah,
people
my
were,
father
right?
was very
Now,
handy.
you remember we had a problem prior to 1961 when we were using our electrical tools. What was the problem prior to 1961 in using electrical tools?
You had to have it plugged in.
Yeah.
The cord wasn't long enough.
That's
How could
right.
you do electric work with the cord not long enough?
That's right. So what do you think was invented in 1961?
Cordless.
The cordless tools began in 1961. Can you imagine people working in their garages no longer bound by the cord? No longer, they can take a screwdriver, they can take anything and drill. Oh my God, the cordless drill. Now remember this, I bet that when you were a dad back in 1961, one of the things you got for Father's Day was what?
A cordless screwdriver.
Yeah, a cordless tool. And weren't you thrilled? Yeah, oh my God, I got a
Actually,
cordless
that's
tool.
reminding me
What's that?
to put new batteries in my cordless screwdriver.
All right, you got to put new batteries in it, no question about it. You betcha. Hey, this is really getting good. You see, a lot of things that we have, we don't even consider when they were developed, and we can't live without them. All right, let's go back a little bit more. I'll give you a simple one. 1962, the satellite television was invented. All right, no big deal. In 1963, the way we made phone calls was changed forever. What do you think happened in 1963 that changed things forever?
Portable. I mean, no phone thing in the home. You could leave with your
Cell phones?
Cell phone.
Nope, not yet.
Not yet.
Think about staying at home and making a phone call.
I don't know.
All right, here we go. Do you remember how you made phone calls prior to 1963? Yep.
Oh, you called the operator?
No. You took.
I don't know.
That's where the expression dialing a call came from. You took your index
push
finger,
button,
you
push
put
button,
your finger in
push
a hole,
button,
and you had to go like
push
that.
button, push
Remember?
button, push
Yeah,
button,
that's
push
right.
button.
The touch-tone telephone was invented in
Ring,
1963.
ring, push
Touch-tone telephones, which eventually replaced the rotary dial phones as a standard for communication devices, entered the market in 1963. It wasn't, however, till 1980 that most homes had replaced rotary dial with touch-tone phones. Now I ask you, what took so long?
What took so long?
People, imagine a wrong number. Imagine if the number was busy. How many times do I gotta call? Do you imagine somebody with rotary saying the following? If you want this department, circle 1. If you want this department, circle 2. These are things you don't think about. That's why you're tuned in to learn all these things, because it was absolutely amazing. 1963 was a touch-tone telephone. All right, 1965 changed the way we see and look at things, and eliminated something that was used for years, that I even think Ben Franklin might have been the original inventor of what this product replaced. What do you think was invented in 1965 that changed the way people look at things?
Binoculars?
Nice try. Nope.
Glasses?
Okay, what about glasses? Go.
Contact?
Contact lenses.
Contact.
Yes, contact lenses in 1965. Yes, and it really began to work out, and that, of course, became very, very, very popular. Of course, I hated when she got contact lenses. Why? I could see it. She put them in the eye. Out. Where's my contact? Oh, my God, Andy, they're in the bottom of my eyelids. I can't see them. First thing in the morning. She's a very nice woman. I love her dearly. What do I see the first thing in the morning? I can't. And then things that sticks her hands in her eyes. I know some people still use it today. I shouldn't laugh that hard. But, you know.
Where's my contact? It's up there.
Yeah. And then.
Yes, but people still wear contacts today.
I know people still wear contact, but people still wear glasses today, too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. You never had any idea whatsoever that these things were around and what you do with these things. All right. Let's go ahead and Oh, I knew it. There was a story I wanted to tell you. I got to go back to the contact lenses. I'm sorry, to the touch-tone telephone. I don't have a recording of this, so please bear with me. There was something on TV years ago on the Ellen Show. It was one of those daytime shows, and it was all over the place. So they listen to this.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to this. It's funny. They had this gal, about 32 years old, and she was very nice to do this on TV. It was embarrassing. So they had a rotary phone. You might have seen this. A rotary phone on a desk. And the instructions to her were to make a phone call and to call somebody. That's all she had to do. And they gave her the number to call. And you got to find this on YouTube. I can't record and show this to you. But what happened was, I'm telling you, she's staring at the phone and she didn't know what to do with it. I feel bad for her. I grew up with the rotary phone, as I'm sure you did. And then all of a sudden what happened, somebody showed her how to use the phone. Just listen to this. So what happens? She does the dialing. She dials a number exactly. Then she picks up the receiver. And what does she get? She gets what?
A dial tone.
A dial tone. She said, I'm sorry, there's nobody else on the line. She didn't know she had, even the cell phones today, you got to get a dial tone. She didn't know. I felt bad for her. I certainly got it. But it's a good story. It's on TV. Then they said to her, would you please get the Yellow Pages and look up a phone number? So what do you think she said?
What are the Yellow Pages?
Yeah, but I'm going to change it a little bit. So this is the Yellow Pages. So that's Yiddish. My attempt. So anyway, she said, what is the... It was the funniest thing. All right, let's go back. You know the old expression that the grass is greener on the other side, right?
Right.
So what do you think was invented in 1966?
Well, actually, they say the grass is not greener on the other side.
No, they always say the grass is greener on the other side. So either way, it depends upon your point of view, negative or positive. I know sometimes you used to say, how come their lawn is nicer than ours? Get out there and water the lawn. You said that. You did.
Yes, but that's not
okay.
what it means.
What did it mean?
It means that it's not always hunky-dory on the other side. They don't. You think that they might be perfect and have everything, but it's not true.
Okay. So, what did they invent in 1966 that changed the conversation forever?
In 1966?
Yep. What did they invent in 1966 that changed the conversation forever about
no
grass?
idea where you're going with this.
Man, and okay, good thing. Here we go. AstroTurf.
We're talking about the grass.
The grass.
Fake grass. Okay,
Fake
grass.
grass. Yes, fake grass.
I remember having AstroTurf in our backyard. Oh, let's get some fake grass. But on a patio, not on the real lawn.
Yep. All right, let's go to 1968. 1968. Let me ask you a question. If I said to you that for the rest of your computer life, you would have to rely upon a mouse.
A mouse?
A mouse.
Oh.
See, you even got concerned. Yeah. I did it. You'd have to use a mouse to work on your computer. What would you say? You're nuts. But in fact of the matter is, in 1968, the computer mouse was publicly unveiled by a fellow by the name of Douglas C. Engelbart in 1968. All right. Let's go to 1969, something that increased the safety of everybody's home. You know where there's an expression where there's smoke?
There's fire.
Well, how did you know that there was a fire in your house prior to 1969?
You didn't. You probably now they invented smoke alarms.
You got it! In 1969, the battery-operated smoke alarm was invented. So all these things, there's more, by the way. So all these things that were invented way back when, guess what? We still use today. And you know one of the inventions of 2019 that has become so famous in 2020 and 2021, now we can't live without it, and it completely changed the dynamics of meetings, the dynamics of the way people work. What is it? Zoom. I know I'm speeding ahead, but I just wanted to show you the impact of these new inventions. All right. 1970. But I'm going to go back to 1968, 1969. You know, we were all watching television. We liked television. But you know what? We had a major problem in 1968, 1969, and all the years prior to that. You know what the problem was? What do you think? If you wanted to...
Enough channels?
No, they were starting to get channels. That's good. If you wanted to watch your favorite TV program, What did you have to do?
You had to watch it, and you couldn't even watch it at a later time. You had to stick around and watch it. So you're saying recording thing came in place.
The VCR, yes, the
VCR.
famous VCR was invented by Philips Corporation in 1970. 1970.
So you taped it, and
Yeah,
you
you
had to
taped
put
it.
the tape in.
Oh, yes, and wasn't that easy to program? Right? No. You remember how many hours we struggled with the darn instruction manual? What do you mean, press here? What's A? What's B? How long is a tape going to last? What kind of tape should I get? An ultra-high tape
And
or
God
regular
forbid
tape?
you taped over something else you
Oh,
wanted.
I didn't think of that. Yeah, she's right. God forbid you taped over something you didn't want to tape over. Oh, my gosh. But lo and behold, 1970s, there came the VCR. Now, remember, if you remember, there were two types of VCRs, weren't there?
Yeah, there was the beta kind.
Yeah.
And the
Other kind, which escaped my memory. VHS.
VHS and
right.
beta.
And Beta, do you remember who Beta was invented by? Only one company?
No.
Sony. Sony Corporation invented the Beta, which was the very first one, which was a smaller machine. Everybody else came together and invented the VHS
Which became the
system
most popular.
Which became the most popular. And what happened was, it was very interesting, I remember this, is that there was major competition between both abilities to record. And then there was a major decision made by television companies and whatever to select one over the other.
And they selected
the VHS. And I remember.
So if you had something beta, you had to convert it to VHS.
Yep, and you and I had to do that.
Yes, we did.
Well, how come?
Because we were on a game show and we had a beta copy and we needed to convert it.
Almost. So we were on a game show which was called Three's a Crowd. I don't know if I ever told you this before. It was called Three's a Crowd. And what was, you're looking down depressed. And what was it about? You want to tell them what it was about?
It was about the secretary and her boss and the wife and who knew the
boss
person the best.
Yeah. So can I share with you some?
Okay, but listen, his name is Andy.
Oh yeah.
My name is Carol, and the secretary's name was Candy. Candy and Andy.
Yeah, that was her real name. And we lived in California, Los Angeles at the time. And Candy was also a California
girl,
blonde. And it was a very, very, very good show. It was funnier than heck. And I don't know, should I share some of the questions? No, okay. So it was really kind of cool. Anyway, so the problem is we didn't own a VHS machine. We had nothing. We didn't, no beta, no VCR, no nothing. A friend of ours had a beta machine. Okay, he was kind enough to record it for us, but we had nothing to play it back on. So
we had the tape.
And I said, I do not want to wait, and I do not want to buy a beta because everybody's about to make a decision which is the better machine. Okay, and if you remember in those days when you rented a video, you either rented a beta or a VHS. So I decided to wait, didn't buy a machine. Then they finally selected VHS. He gave me the beta. I had to have it transferred by someone. Guess what? I still have the tape today. All right, let's move on. 1971. Yes.
I think that tape has been converted one more time.
To a disc, yeah.
To a disc.
To a disc, yep. All right, 1971. Snail mail became obsolete, or mostly snail mail.
Snail mail?
Snail mail found a replacement. What is snail mail? You're looking at me strange. Anybody want to tell her what snail mail is? What's snail mail? Snail mail is when you want to send a letter to somebody. What did you used to do? Write the letter, put it in an envelope, send it through the government, the United States Post Office, and it's known as snail mail because it takes so long.
Oh.
I didn't make that name up. But what happened in 1971 that said, well, maybe I don't have to use snail mail anymore? What do you think?
Something with the computer?
What about?
Email.
Yes! Email 1971. Can you live without email? I can't. Okay, I email, I don't know. I must get 100 emails a day. Really, and most of them are not junk. So emails started in 1971, and I will never forget, I was a late innovator, hard to believe, which means when I was working, I had some clients that said, Andy, why don't you get email? I said, what is email? Don't bother me. And I was a phone guy, loved to talk on the phone, the whole 9 yards. And then finally they convinced me to get email, and my company forced me to get email, and then the whole thing started. So let's get into a discussion for just a moment. Take a break. Is email good for us today?
Depends. Everybody's always looking. We're so connected that we become obsessed with email. Check your email. If you don't check it, you got a lot of email in your thing, and then you have to delete your emails. And some emails are good, and some emails are bad.
So, but you didn't answer the question.
What?
Would we be better off with
No, we
email
are better
or
off
without?
with email.
Yep.
We can't. But even the post office is having problems.
Yep,
We're
so-
better off with email.
So we always have
because
to
you can get an answer right away.
get an answer if somebody sticks to it. Okay, now we got that. All right, let's move on. And 1973. Here's another major invention that changed the entire scope of the way we make phone calls. What does that mean? Where did we have to be in order to make phone calls?
Home
Or the telephone booth.
or telephone booth.
And what do you think was invented in 1973?
Cell phone.
Yes.
Big one.
Thank you for reminding me.
Big one.
Oh, you remember? Oh my, thank you for reminding me that. These things were gigantic.
They were.
Right? And then not only did you have the big cell phone, what else did you have to clip to your belt? Now that you're making me remember. What else did you have to clip to your belt in order to use this humongous size cell phone?
A battery?
That's
thing?
right.
A battery pack.
Yeah, you got it. And that battery did not last very long. So 1973. 1974 was another thing that changed the entire scope of the way we take notes. And here we go. It is sticky notes. Sticky notes. It might be surprising to learn that such a simple invention entered the market after the VHS and mobile phone. The idea for sticky notes, later branded as Post-it notes, first came about in 1974. How we doing so far?
We're doing interesting.
Yeah.
I like it.
All these things that we're using today
We take for granted.
We take for granted. And remember, the inventions that we think are miraculous today that are being invented, my gosh, 20, 30 years from now, someone's going to do the same presentation and say, look at those archaic people back from the 2020s. Look at what the heck they invented. Bunch of malarkey. But it's true. All right, let's move on. What do you think was invented in 1975? And the very first model cost $20,000. And just about every business person has it. Most of them have it in our homes. And what do you think it was?
A printer, a fax machine,
Nope.
I don't know.
You're looking at it right now.
A computer,
What kind of computer?
a portable computer,
Known as the, originally,
tablet,
laptop.
laptop.
So the laptop computer was developed in 1975, and the first one cost $20,000. And I will never forget. For some reason, my father, as I mentioned earlier, loved to be the first one on the block with new inventions, if not in the whole city. And
Gadget.
What did I say?
Yeah, invention.
Yeah, inventions, gadgets. So I will never forget this. My son was in college, and computers were just starting to come on the market. And I resisted computers.
Big time.
Big time. I said, son, I don't need a computer. All it is a big calculator and a big freaking typewriter. Finally, when the prices came down to about $600-700, not for a laptop, but for a computer, finally he broke me down and I said, yes, I'll buy it. And now I can't live
without the computer.
Without the computer. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right, let's go back to 1979 or forward. Go back, however you want to look at it. And I'm not going to go through a whole thing, but the Sony Walkman was invented.
The what?
Sony Walkman.
Sony Walkman.
What was a Sony
I
Walkman?
had a Sony Walkman.
Yeah, what was it?
What?
What is a Sony
you
Walkman?
You put the cassette in, you can listen to music, you can take it with you, little cassette.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, and we all had it. And then after that came the MP3 units. So, care to guess how many people purchased, how many Walkmans were purchased around the world? Just shoot me a number. 200 million Walkmen were sold around the world. Well, we're going to leave the 1970s, and we're now going to start with the 1980s. Okay? So, here's something that was invented in 1980, but I only bought last year. Yeah, you should look. Did you still look? I only bought it last year. It's been around. I never had an opportunity to buy it before. And actually, it was invented in Israel. What is it? You ready for this? The dual flush toilet.
Oh, okay. The dual flush toilet.
Yeah. So if you don't know what the dual flush toilet is, you want to explain it to them?
Well, you flush for number 1 or you flush for number 2.
And what's the difference?
The difference is the water pressure.
Nope.
What's the difference?
The amount of water.
The amount of water.
Not the water pressure, but the amount of water. So if you, number 1, you push the A button, and enough water is dispersed to clean the bowl. When it's number 2, you push the other button, more water is dispersed. And of course, you know that normally you use the facilities more for the number 1 than the number 2. Therefore, it was a water savior. How about that?
How about that?
Now, I don't know if you've ever had one or anything like that. All right, 1981. 1981. There was a total difference in the way you take pictures. You remember in the old days when you wanted to take a picture, you had to focus the camera manually. Did you know that? And how many times, you might have been a photographer, how many times did you play with the darn thing and do the measurements and the distance and the viewfinder and the target? My God, that's a headache. So somebody invented, the Asahi Optical Company, invented the autofocus camera. All right, 1985. 1985. One of the biggest changes that impacted the world forever and ever, and we will never go back to the way it was. What was invented in 1985 that had to do with computers?
The laptop.
No, the laptop was already invented.
Had to do with computers?
Yeah. Okay, Microsoft Windows was invented in 1975. Yep. Let's go back to let's go further to 1986. You know, we always used to have a problem. We used to carry these big cameras around. No matter where we went, it was a big camera. And we invested lots of money. So somebody had the brilliant idea, and I even fell into this trap, so stupid. Somebody had the brilliant idea to make a smaller camera without all the gadgets. And what do you do when you're finished with the camera? You throw it out. A disposable camera. And it was done by Fujifilm. I don't know if anybody still uses a disposable camera. To me, that was one of the most brilliant aspects of marketing ever, right? It's like, boom, use a camera, throw it out. Use a camera. Why don't you keep the camera that makes the pictures, you just put another roll of film in? I'm going to pause. There's lots of things we haven't covered yet because they're just so obvious. Polaroid instant photos. Remember, well, they're bankrupt now.
I had one of those.
We all did. All right. So these are things that are still being basically used today. I'm not quite sure about the disposable camera, but I think in third world countries they're still there. All right. Let's go on to the next one. 1989. Oh, did we have problems watching television? Oh my gosh. This is just remarkable. You know the problems we had? We had the remote. We had enough channels. But you know what wasn't good? It was terrible. What a problem.
What was the problem?
The picture on the screen wasn't sharp enough.
Ah.
Did you ever complain about the picture on the screen not being sharp enough? Did you ever complain that the color on the screen was not vibrant and beautiful and colorful? Of course not. Did they listen to you? No. Did they convince you to go out and buy a high-definition television known as the LCD TV? Do you remember when they came out on the market? You remember how much they cost and a lot of people who had a lot of money paid for this? $20,000. $20,000 for an LCD TV, 65 inches. You had to have one. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. Did I buy one of those? No. Did I complain about the colors? No. Was I upset that the picture wasn't sharp enough? No.
You know any different?
No, but you know what they invented this year?
What?
This is Meshuggah. The 8K TV. What does 8K mean? It's even sharper. It's even more brilliant. It's even more costly.
And is it always bigger?
Yeah, the TV's now like 75 inches, 90 inches. Oh,
Who
yeah.
has the space for 75
I
inch
don't
TV?
know. You buy a bigger house. I have no idea. I don't get involved in that kind of stuff. But it was absolutely nutso. Nutso. High
Nut.
D TV. All right, move on. And 1991. Let's go to the 1990s. 1991. What was invented? Aha. It was known as the World Wide Web. It was only in 1991, according to this. By October 1990, Tim Berners-Lee had created HTML, URI, HTTP, three technologies that still today form the foundation of the web. So anytime you look up a website, it always has www, HTTP. By the end of the year, we saw the very first web page appeared on the open internet. And in 1991, the World Wide Web became available to the public. By the way, do you remember what they called the World Wide Web in the 1990s?
Oh, I think I know. The superhighway?
Very close, very close, very close. Put a word in front of it. Very close, very close.
Oh, tell me.
The Information
Superhighway.
Superhighway. That was all over the papers. Information Superhighway. Yeah. So the other day, I was talking to my son, and we emailed about something. And there it is. And he said, "You remember, Dad, the Information Superhighway?" I says, "Yep, I do. You remember he said to me how you rejected this whole idea of Meshuggah?" Yep. Which, by the way, guess what we all threw out when the World Wide Web became available?
What did we throw out?
Oh, things we had to have in school.
Encyclopedias.
Very good. Encyclopedias. Yes. What encyclopedia did you have? I had the World Book. And
so did I.
The World Book. Remember, every year, what'd you have to do?
You have to update the World Book.
You had to update the World Book. And I remember doing that and getting
You had to collect another volume.
collect another volume, and some of the stuff became obsolete.
Oh, my God.
We don't have to do that anymore. But wait.
There's more.
There's more. In 1993, another invention came out that revolutionized house cleaning.
A vacuum.
What kind of vacuum?
I don't know. A rainbow vacuum. Or a water vacuum.
Okay, no, we had one of those. What else do you think?
I don't know.
Here it is.
Dustbuster.
No, nice try. The bagless vacuum.
Oh, the bagless.
James Dyson launched the very first bagless vacuum cleaner and the best-selling vacuum ever in 1993. Now you might be saying, "Oh, come on, who cares?" Yeah, right. Come on. You and me, you remember when you had to empty the bag in the Kirby or all the other vacuum cleaners? Remember that? And you said, "Oh my God, I got to take the bag out." And you took the bag out. You know I'm right. And what happened when you took the bag out? What happened to some of the dust? Yeah, you got it. The dust came up. And now this smart man, I think he was from England, smart man said, "Let's get rid of the bag and let's create a bagless vacuum." And it's still used today. All right, 1995. The VHS became obsolete.
Because the CD came out.
And that CD?
DVD.
DVD. Yes, I bet you didn't know that. DVD,
DVD.
standing for Digital Versatile Disc, was first developed by Panasonic, Philips, Sony, and Toshiba, and launched in 1995. And I'll never forget, they were expensive to start with. I'll never forget, I used to walk into Best Buy, and I don't know if you remember, you were there with me, and they had the first DVDs. They had this big display with Bose speakers, and it was a magnificent setup. The whole thing cost a lot of money. And finally the prices came down. And I remember in sales contests, if you won the sales contest, you would get a $500 DVD, and you thought it was great. Then you got the DVD disc, and you remember you could skip through things and do all these wonderful things you can still do today. 1995, it changed the way things were done. Are you out of breath yet?
No, but my mind is boggled.
There's more.
There's more.
There's more. Have you ever heard of anything called Wi-Fi?
Yes, we have
Yes.
Wi-Fi today.
We have Wi-Fi today, and Wi-Fi was invented in 1997. In 1999, they took it to the next step, and they took the DVD and created digital recording. Because remember, on the DVD originally, you could only play it, you couldn't record, and TiVo came out, and now you've got everything happening there. So you can see how way back when, from 1950, a lot of things were invented and developed that we are still using today. All right, let's go back into the 2000s. We finally made it to this century. And the let's see what we have coming up. Oh, here's the big one. It was only back in 2001 that this was first developed. There was a big contest between Sony and a company called Apple. And each one of those Sony had the MP3 player, which was from the original Walkman. They made it smaller, they made it digital. And what do you think Apple came out with to compete with that in 2001?
This
Yeah.
iPod.
Yes, the iPod was invented in 2001.
Small little thing.
Small little thing, and it was on. How much did that small little thing cost?
300.
Yeah, $300.
300.
I gotta ask you something. Back in the 1960s, when you were sitting at home and you were playing the 33 1/3 RPMs, or you were playing the 45 RPMs, and you know what I'm talking about, rotations per minute, the big albums, or the big album with the small hole, or the smaller record with the big hole. Remember that? Okay. Did you ever say to yourself, my gosh, when I get older, I want to spend $500, listen to this, for just a little teeny weeny thing to hold 50 of my favorite songs? I gotta spend that kind of money. But wait, I got a problem. These teeny weeny itty bitty things do not have any sound coming out of them because they don't have any speakers. So I want to spend $300 on earphones. I want to spend. Did you do that in the 1950s? Did you do that in the 1960s? No. But I guarantee you that most of us bought that. You bought it. I bought it.
I still have it.
Still have it. Now they've changed the technology. But
you can't get that anymore.
Unbelievable. All right. 2003, Skype was invented. Not going to talk much about that. In 2004, the face of the world changed.
FaceTime.
Not FaceTime.
What?
Oh, come on. Not FaceTime. Carol, please.
I don't know. I don't know.
Facebook.
Facebook. Okay.
Facebook was invented in 2004, and I don't know if you remember, but they advertised like McDonald's, and every time they got up to 1 million, we got 1 million people. And I remember one time they hit 200 million subscribers. Now they got 300 million, and the darn thing is free. You don't pay for it. You ever realize that? You don't pay for it. Now the question is, this is brilliant psychological science. Why is it that Facebook is so popular? What do you think?
People I post all kinds of things, information. Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
people like to boast, so they use Facebook as boast. And why do we check Facebook so often? It's because we don't want to be left out. And they played on that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not going to get into that kind of a discussion. They played on that, and that's why Facebook became so popular, and then they sold the advertisements. It was absolutely remarkable. All right, let's go to 2005. 2005. What was invented in 2005 that everybody uses today? It was remarkable. I remember hearing about it for the very first time. YouTube. And there is...
Oh, yeah, YouTube is great for instructions on anything. People give reviews. You can DIY, do it yourself type thing.
Yeah, and great. I bet you if you know how to use a computer, you go to YouTube. Yeah, yes, YouTube 2005.
YouTube free exercise tapes. They have everything.
Mm-hmm. You betcha. And let's go to 2007. You know, when we were younger, what did we use a telephone for? For telephone. You make a phone call. Fine. Then they came out with the cell phones. You remember I don't even think I covered the cell phone. Do you remember the cell phone when you first got we talked about that. Yeah, the very big one with the battery, and then they made it smaller. That's all they used it for. Well, some genius in 2007, which was not that long ago, said, aha, we got to make the cell phone smarter.
So they developed the smartphone.
They developed the smartphone. Yes, 2007, the iPhone was invented. 2008, the Android phone was invented. And you know as well as I do that you can do anything you want with a cell phone today. Calculations, pictures, you name it. I'm not going to get into it. All right, 2010. We're
You can
getting.
order online on your cell phone.
All right, here we go to 2010. Some of the stuff you can't live without today. Here we go. In 2010, one of the most important inventions ever known to mankind and still used today is the iPad. The iPad was launched in 2010.
That means that I got my first one, iPad 1, on 2010.
Uh-huh.
I remember, as we go back, our son convincing us that I needed an iPad and standing online and buying that iPad. You remember?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's another $506 down the drain. So let me ask the question again. When you were in 1950s, 1960s, did you ever ask for something portable that you can do all this magical stuff with? No, but I bet you owned an iPad. I bet you might even have one today. I bet you can't live without it. And here's something else you can't live without that was developed in 2014. You can't live without this. I got one. It talks to me. It follows my commands. It gives me the weather. It might even eavesdrop on everything that I talk about in the house. And it was only not even 10 years old yet. It's only 8 years old. Alexa and Echo. Amazon Echo, you bet. And 2010, Siri was invented first. Siri came first. Siri came first, right? Siri! Whatever. 2010, wireless charging. You don't even have to charge your phone on electricity anymore. So we kind of went through a complete journey dating back to 1950. Now, let me ask Carol, and I'm going to ask you the same question. You come up with an answer. We went through a lot of inventions. Here's a tough question. To you, what was, of all these that we talked about, the most important invention of everything we just talked about, and why? And I realize I'm putting you on the spot. You never know what's coming in these discussions.
I think it's going to be the cell phone. Because the cell phone you can take with you anywhere. You can keep in contact with people. You can do all kinds of things on your cell phone now. You can play games. You can listen to music. You can order online. You can take pictures with it. So it's encompassing everything. But cell phones, if you got into an emergency and you had to stop the car and go into a phone booth, I think for me it's cell phones right now.
Okay, and is a cell phone or smartphone? Because there is a difference. There is a difference. A smartphone. Now, how about you? What do you think is the most important invention? Now, bear in mind, I haven't even talked about medical inventions or medical changes or anything else.
You just said based on what we talked about.
Yeah, but just about based on what we talked about. So let me rephrase the question. Of all the things that we talked about, what is the one thing you could have done without?
What's the one thing I could have done without?
Yeah.
I'm thinking. I don't know. It's just it's not the cell phone. I don't know.
Super glue, even though you use that today.
No.
The remote control.
No.
The microwave oven.
No.
Automatic coffee.
No.
No. Wow.
Maybe it's the super glue. I don't know. Maybe it's the super glue.
Cordless.
Or maybe it's the sticky note.
You still use that?
I know, but you said of all the things we could have done with that.
Cordless tools. You. By the way, just to show you, she has her own set of cordless tools. I bought her own set of cordless tools.
Yeah, because I'm the one that does the tools in this house.
All right, the VCR, the DVD, the laptop.
I'm gonna say the super glue.
Okay, the super glue.
All
Wow.
right.
All right, so what I'm going to do from now on, Carol,
Right.
The super glue that you used today to fix what was fixed, I'm taking it away.
Go for it. Then you'll have to figure out how to fix it. Okay, sounds good to me.
So it's not that easy to take some of these inventions away. So what's your favorite invention? Would you rather live, watch this, would you rather live in the 1940s when these things were not around? Or are we better off in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s?
Yes, but when you're actually living in a particular thing, you don't realize what else could make your life better. That's why people come up with it. But it's what you know. You don't realize there's something better out there.
So let's think about other things that were not on this list but are equally important. Watch this. Self-parking cars. Self-driving cars.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, anti-collision cars. Okay, not just to talk about one particular industry. But even this year and the year before, and in the 2020s, in addition to Zoom, we are using things today that just 3-4 years ago, not using at all. And it just continues to be a more amazing and amazing.
So think about this. If
Go
you
ahead.
have self-parking, self-driving cars, you won't need auto driving schools anymore.
Ooh, yeah. Well, eventually you're gonna have to drive a little bit. God forbid something happens with the car. But no, I certainly understand that. And how about this? How about putting money into parking meters? Do you have to do that anymore?
Nope, it's on your phone.
It's on your phone. You have
an app on your phone.
There's an app on your phone for that. How about going to the doctors for an EKG?
You can do that at home.
Yeah, you can do that at home. And doctors today approve that. I'm not telling you to do this, but I'm just telling you of all these things that we've talked about in the past just have been recently invented. I talked to you about the smart glasses and the spy glasses and so many other things that are coming down the pike. So we live in very, very interesting times, as we did in the 50s. So here's the point. When we think about how comfortable we are today, did it happen overnight? Absolutely not. It happened because of ingenuity. It happened because of vision. It happened because of fortitude. It happened because of persistence. And, recently they flew a helicopter up in Mars. Whoever thought that would happen? So there are just so many things and so many things coming and have come. So we want to end by saying this. Let's be grateful for everything that we have, because just for a moment, think about it. If the only thing we can't live without is super glue.
I mean, I had to pick from something.
I understand. I had a tough question. You probably had your own answer too. That means everything that we talked about, including hundreds of things that we didn't talk about, we should never take for granted anymore. Because here's something else that's extremely important. If I gave this presentation to countries in Africa,
they think
to
you are
certain
nuts.
countries in Asia, to certain countries, believe it or not, in Europe and South America, outside of Buenos Aires and some of the bigger cities, do you know what they would do to have any one of these things that we talked about? They'd go nuts because they don't have it. We have it because we live in a technologically advancing society day by day. So for both of those reasons and many more, Carol and Andy, I'm Andy, that's Carol, really hope that you really enjoyed today's presentation. It was our pleasure in presenting it to you. And who knows, maybe in 2 years, I'll even have newer inventions that have been created that we were just thinking about today that are part of our daily life tomorrow. And I just couldn't help thinking of one other invention. Before I close, I just couldn't help it. And that was an invention that was done about 30, 40 years ago that, believe it or not, some people still use. And it was invented by Ron Popeil. Remember Ron Popeil?
He's the guy with all this stuff.
The fisherman stuff, the salad stuff. But do you remember one of the final things he invented? Remember this? Sure you do. The spray-on hair. If you had a bald spot, your spray-on hair. So does every one of these...
I don't think anybody's using that today.
Oh, remember we talked about that.
Yeah,
Millions of them were sold.
We did.
Millions of them were sold. Anyway, have fun. Good to see you. We'll see you next time. This is Andy. I'm
Carol.
She's Carol. Enjoy life. Enjoy everything. Stay happy. Stay healthy. And thanks for staying with us. And thanks for tuning in. And we hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.